So, I have not posted my own vlog update in a really long time, so let's catch everybody up on what's been going on the past couple of weeks in my life. So, as a lot of you know, I went to VidCon out in LA, and it was amazing. It's so wonderful seeing everybody in one specific place that has this common passion for social media, that has this common understanding of you have this fandom, I have this fandom. This fandom belongs to a larger part of the YouTube community, and it's wonderful. I have a couple other videos of my visit, and you can check those out. Include some links down below, or you can check the playlist at the end of the video. After that, I just hung out in California for a while. I was hanging out with one of my friends. Her name's Christine, and I hung out with her and Jameson. And while I was out there, I actually flew to Boise, Idaho. So why did I go to Boise, Idaho? A lot of you don't know this whole story. I was connected with a company out there that owns a couple of radio stations. My buddy Keith gave me the connection, and I went out there. I applied to just work for this place. I didn't have an understanding of what I was applying for in the first place. I just saw, if you're interested in a job, please send us your information. So I sent the guy the information. His name is Brian, and he called me back later that day. We had about an hour phone call talking about just my background and my experience. Everything was looking good to go out there. Everything was looking fine until I got an email that said we're gonna have to put the brakes on the hiring process. You know, we'll probably have to look someplace else for a job. And I didn't understand why, but because the trip was already booked from flying to Boise from LA, and because the hotel was already booked, Chris and I decided to go because she had already booked her hotel room and they already booked my hotel room for me. So we just went, and plus it was kind of this, it was a music festival called God and Country. So while I was out there, I asked them, you know, I asked Brian, because we met up for dinner, I said, what happened? Why was there this sudden stop? Why just this sudden disinterest after everything seemed to be going so well? And he said, well, they saw your YouTube videos and they were a little uncomfortable with the Naked Truth series. On top of that, they saw some of the topics that you were talking about, and so the Idaho conference decided not to pursue employment with you any further. At that point in the meal, I was just completely heartbroken. I was devastated. I just couldn't think of what to say or what the problem was. Chris did a wonderful job of just filling in the rest of this talking about what the stations are about and what their goal is as a religious organization, as Barefoot Media Ministries. Like, they were just talking about what was going on. So we go back to the hotel room. She comes to my room and she says, hey, are you okay? And I play for her the video, one specifically that they had a problem with, and it was, does size matter in relationships? And we watched the whole video, and even she said, you know, you ended on the point that it's about an emotional connection and not about a physical connection that matters in a relationship. So you're not wrong. Like, this isn't that bad, especially because they're... Let's go back a little bit. At VidCon, people ask me, what is it that you do? And I'm like, I have my own YouTube channel, but what I would really like to do is post content to the everyday person from an Adventist perspective and an Adventist point of view, because everybody goes to Google and YouTube when they have questions or they want to look up something or they want to know the answers, and there's no Adventist voice. There's no one from our denomination that's just out there giving an answer that people are going to. And by participating in the Naked Truth, everybody knows that I'm a pastor. Everybody knows what my job is. Everybody, they still watch my videos. They talk to me in live streams. They engage with me. I've had people come up to me at VidCon. I like your videos. I like what you have to say. So I worked within that context. If somebody wants to know, does size matter in a relationship, I can sit down and talk to you and tell you that no, it doesn't matter in a relationship. Or if you want to talk about circumcision, I'll sit down and talk to you about a circumcision. Because as a church, we can't be afraid to answer the real, honest questions that people keep asking. And yet here I am being cut off from a potential job position because I'm answering honestly real questions that real people are asking. And I don't know why this is a problem. So after the God and Country Music Festival, as we're riding back to the hotel, I sit down and talk with Brian, and I explain to him what I said to you guys just now. And I said, you know, I'm just trying to answer questions truthfully and honestly. I want to fight for this job. I want a chance to work in this field. He says, no promises, but I'll talk to my crew because they met you, and we'll see what happens. I don't want to give you false hope. And I said, that's fine. So the next morning, I wind up having like an hour and a half interview with the program director at the station. And we talk about the videos again, and I give him the same response and reasoning, and he seems to very well understand. He's like, you know, what teenager, what man, what person doesn't wonder, does their size matter? And so, I mean, and I said, you've watched the video, so you know where I ended at. You know I didn't use anything vulgar, you know, like, but this is still a problem. And you know, he was really receptive to it, and so things seem to be ending on a good note. So I fly back to LA, wind up getting a phone interview scheduled with somebody that does business consulting for the company. And this is not an interview. This is a psych evaluation. They're asking me why this job and why now? How did you feel about the conferences? How did you feel when they left you? How did you feel when they didn't give you a mentor? What did you do in response to this? Well, what do you think? Who were your two biggest top influencers? Oh, you really got along with your dad. Tell us about your dad. So then I started talking about dad. And by the end of this interview, like, I just felt really kind of like, you know, mentally probed. Like, oh, I feel kind of exhausted. And I wound up sleeping for almost 5 hours afterwards because I was so nervous beforehand that I just couldn't get my mind together. And it turns out that, as one of my friends said, no, that wasn't an interview, that was a psych eval. They wanted to see how well you could hold up to pressure. They wanted to see how well you could handle being asked tough questions and what your emotional state was with your job termination and whatnot from there. So finished out my time there. Went to Vegas, hung out for a couple of days. I'll tell you what, 114-degree weather is really intense when there's no air conditioning, but that's a different story for another time. So I come back and I get a phone call yesterday. And he says, you know, unfortunately, we can't find room in the budget. You know, thank you for trying so hard. Thank you for talking to us and explaining to us everything. You know, but good luck, and we hope that you can find something. So I go to jail last night, and the one person that signed up for my jail program last night is gone. He was sent out on a shipment, on a transport, they called it. Don't know why they didn't bother to call me or email me or say, hey, you know, you don't have to come in. There's nobody that signed up, but whatever. But at that point, I was kind of just fed up because I'm getting nothing from anyone from nowhere about anything involving jobs. And I'm starting to lose it a little bit, if I gotta be honest. It's very frightening not knowing what my future is gonna hold. It is very scary not knowing where my income is gonna come from because I have school bills to pay, I have credit cards from school that I need to pay. I need to sustain myself, and I don't know what is going on. Charlie has brought up again the potential for working at a military base doing IT support, and I was trying to look at the numbers and the acronyms and everything last night, and it's very overwhelming. No kidding, I just legit sat and cried in my bed trying to figure out what my next step is. Where am I going to go? And I just don't know. And I guess that is the whole point of this vlog right now, is I just don't know what is going to happen in my life next. And that's very worrisome, and that's very bothersome to me. I'm just slightly unnerved by it. I'm a little tilted by it. And so there's the vlog. I haven't done a vlog in a while. I'm gonna go back and unhide all the YouTube videos that were kind of deemed a little course for a pastor, and maybe I should just try to pursue this YouTube thing more as like an actual career thing. I don't know. But that's the update on my life. That's everything that's been going on. Yeah, throw me a like, throw a comment, you know, throw a subscribe down. I'm almost to 100. I'm really excited about getting to 100 subs. I think that's really cool, seeing as how like last year around this time I only had like 30 or 40. I've almost doubled my channel growth at this point. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll see what happens.